Hoosier Nation, what's going on? Jeff and Ben here on a losing edition, unfortunately, of Hoosier Court and Indiana Basketball Podcast. Follow us at Hoosier Court Pod on Instagram, X, Threads, Blue Sky, Green Sky, whatever the hell, all that stuff. But we lose 72-68. It was a heartbreaker on Valentine's Day. Pun intended, Ben. That was just a tough one. Indiana, your initial thoughts, right? I mean, they just keep digging these holes, and sometimes you just can't get out of them. And last night was one of those nights.
When you shit the bed for the first 20 minutes every game, it's hard to come back versus decent teams. Or they're down by 20 in the first half, 15, 20 at home.
I don't think it didn't get quite to. You get to around the 15 marker, and hey, is what it is. Indiana battles back, but that was a game Indiana had to win, quite frankly. If they had any, coming off a big win in East Lansing and to lose the home games, right? They just sting, right? I mean, I put out a tweet earlier that the Maryland, Michigan, and obviously last night's game, just those three home games, the close one-possession games, if you just win those games, this season looks completely different. Now, maybe Mike Woodson isn't retiring at the end of the year because of those games, but the margin for error of this team is small. And I've seen a lot of, conjecture around there of, hey, like there's no need to pile on at this point. Like we need to stay positive. It's like, look, I want to see Indiana win, and we can't continue to normalize losing at Assembly Hall. And, maybe this team's just not good enough, whatever it is, but they're good enough to beat UCLA and Maryland and Michigan at home. They are. They just don't execute, and it's a shame, honestly.
Yeah.
And I know what other before you jump in here, a lot of people say, well, hey, it's a good thing we are losing so that we can ensure Mike Woodson leaves. All right. Mike Woodson's leaving regardless of whatever happens the rest of the way. So I would prefer to see Indiana win every game the rest of the year.
And we don't get a draft kick for second.
Correct. There's no draft picks. There's none of that stuff. I will say I'm glad to see in Assembly Hall that there's not a lot of boos and all that stuff have kind of gone away now that the dust has settled. And we'll talk about that kind of off the court stuff in a little bit. There's some things flying around today, which I found funny, where Kurt Signetti's involved. So stick around for that if you haven't seen it. But, just on the court last night, Ben, it's just simply not good enough. Our guard play is just simply it's been the thing that's really just doomed Indiana for the last decade. Guard play is not good.
Yeah, it's by far the worst guard play in the Big Ten and maybe even the whole country. If you ask me, especially at the end of the game when you got 258% free throw shooters in the clutch, and nothing makes me more upset than guys that can't hit free throws at the end of the game that are ball handlers. Because how are you supposed to win close games in those situations? You can't. So I think we played the first half about as well as those uniforms looked. I don't know what that was. Did you see what Cronin said about those uniforms?
Yeah, I mean, look, I get it. The uniforms are not great, right? But there is a purpose behind the uniform. It's Adidas is honoring Black excellence during Black History Month. Like, I get it. They're not a great look. And so it is what it is. But that's the uniform Indiana's wearing. It's the same one Kansas and Louisville and Nebraska and anybody else that's sponsored by Adidas are wearing some semblance of that uniform. They're wearing it once. It's over. They lost. And that's what it is. And Adidas, yes, in the chat, Adidas is terrible, but they pay us a lot of damn money to wear their stuff. So until somebody else comes with more money, we're going to wear Adidas. That's what that is. So, hey, Nike, come to the table with more money. Of course, we need to win some damn games to get that. So, I'm wearing a Nike sweatshirt right now. You know what I heard? For my longest, I've heard that you can't wear a Nike shirt and different shoes. And I was told by a teenager that's not true anymore. You can wear whatever you want. So I couldn't find my Nikes, and I had on Adidas shoes and a Nike shirt at lunch today. So I'm going with the young kids because I couldn't figure out what to do. But beside the point, yes, uniforms sucked. Yes, Bob Knight wouldn't. Can we just let go of the, Bob Knight wouldn't have liked the uniform? Stop, Cronin. Like, if he wants to be the coach, quite frankly, at Indiana, be your own coach. If anybody comes in here and is trying to be Knight like Mike Woodson is, look how that ended up for them. There's only one Bob Knight. He's arguably the best basketball mind from the college level that's ever lived. So people need to stop trying to be him, is all I'm saying. Sorry. Take a sip of my Modelo. Still waiting for that sponsorship. Hasn't come through yet.
Yeah, Modelo. And I love the Modelo orange. I don't know. To me, that UCLA team wasn't that good last night. I'm going to be 100% honest. They're not going anywhere in the tournament. Who's the best?
I disagree. I think they're tough, physical. They've won like 7 of 8, dude.
The
only game they lost was at the wire to Illinois on the road.
Man, their best player is Sky Clark. He's been on every team in America.
Hey, you want to ask me? Their best player is the big guy, Mara. That guy killed us. He only gets 12 minutes a night because he's, a huge ass dude. He killed us, dominated, made us look stupid.
What do you think's up with Ballo? He's only taking 5 shots a game now. Just doesn't care.
No, I think honestly, I don't know. They were a bigger team probably. That probably has something to do with it. Michigan State didn't have anybody that could stop them. I just think, I'd be naive to think that there's an actual game plan coming from this coaching staff at this point. It seems like we roll the ball out, but we did start in the zone and we got away from it. And I think like Indiana, at this point, I would probably just stick to it. I get it. UCLA is a better shooting team than Michigan State, but I would have stuck with it because we couldn't guard their guards. Like they were just taking us on and then I distinctly remember the timeout in the second half where it was about a 5-point game. I think it was maybe 6. And Cronin called timeout, got the matchup, the switch onto Mbako, guy took it in and won. And, UCLA just kept extending it out. And then Indiana got a break with a flagrant 1, which we just saw it today in the Purdue game where the guy got a flagrant 2, kicked out of the game, going through a screen. He did hit the guy in the nuts, but he wasn't malicious. Like you can't sit here and tell me that play today and a guy just punching somebody in the face is the same thing. It's just not. Like he went through a screen. He did hit Trey Kaufman in the midsection, but it was not malicious or intentional in my opinion. So that rule needs to be looked at. And then what happened last night with Leal, it gave Indiana a huge break. It was, 70-63. They call a foul on Leal. They go to the line for the 1-on-1 and miss it with nobody on the lane because they reviewed it and called a flagrant 1 for an elbow to the jaw of Anthony Leal. And Anthony Leal makes both of those free throws, makes it 70-65. And then Indiana gets the ball. What do? They score, make it 70-67. And Malik Renew goes to the line, believed to make it 70-68 there. And then that's where it ended up. I want to talk about as we get into the end, because I think that I want to talk about the way these are going to go, folks, the rest of the way is we're going to talk about the game. We're going to talk about on the court, but we're certainly going to talk off the court because there's a lot of things going on off the court that we need to talk about. So on the court, it's 70-68. Indiana has the ball, played great defense on the other end to get a wild shot from UCLA, get the ball. Miles Rice is in the game. That dude. Sorry, man. I'm sorry, man, but that guy, he's just not good. It's just not good. Like, he hasn't been good all Big Ten. I don't know what's going on with him. Like, don't get me wrong. Miles Rice has been through a lot of stuff, right? He fought cancer 2 years ago. All that's like, absolutely. Like, I appreciate everything that kid's been through, and I hope nothing is going on with his health or anything like that, but I assume he's good. He's not playing well. And I'd rather, at the end of a game, have Anthony Leal in there than Miles Rice. Because what happens? Miles Rice drives down. He takes a contested 2, which he loves to do. Ham, I know you're out there in the chat, loves a contested 2 for whatever. We just shoot the damn 3 on the prior possession. But on this specific possession, tries to create some space, shoots a 12-footer, misses it. Mbako gets the rebound. He's wide open. He thinks contact's coming. He alligator arms the layup, misses it. Luckily, ball gets knocked out of bounds. Indiana gets it back, 8.5 seconds, 9 seconds left to go. Woodson calls his last timeout, which I think totally viable there. Call the timeout, get the play set up. What it looked like is they ran the same play that they wanted to run against Maryland that they didn't execute, that they actually did execute last night, where Mbako gets a wide open three on a back pick. Galloway screens the inbounds guy guarding the inbounds pass. Mbako gets as clean a look as you're going to get. And I love the shot. I love the look. He didn't make it, right? I have more issue with the layup being missed than I have an issue with the three-pointer being missed. So in that moment, Ben, it's a 2-point game. You're at home. Do you have any issue with Mbako getting a clean, wide open three look for the win there?
No, I mean, I don't. I mean, that's it.
It would have been 5 seconds left if he made it. I mean, there would have an opportunity, but 5 seconds left, got to go length of the floor. Like the chances of them making a shot there are low. So I like that play.
True, but I think what it really boils down to is our guard play is so bad that we can't win. Because if you think about Trey Galloway, somehow he's even worse. I mean, he's in his 17th year. He's averaging 7.5 points a game. He's missing shot after shot. And then Leal's averaging, I mean, I know he's there for more than points, but when your backcourt is averaging 10 points total, how are you going to win any games?
Well, it's an indictment on the guys we brought in that Leal and Galloway are starting, quite frankly.
Yeah. We never thought in a million years that when we brought these guys in that we'd be seeing Leal and Galloway.
And I had no idea Carlisle was healthy. He came in, played 4 minutes in a 3 last night. Never saw him again. Which, I mean, I'm fine with. But, and here in the chat, Ham says, no issue with the shot we got. We've got to make it. That was as good a look to call game as you could ask for. Absolutely agree. Anybody watching this live, just so you know, Purdue lost to Wisconsin, I believe, at least by 10. So shout out to Wisconsin for going into Mackey Arena and beating Purdue. It's always a good day when Purdue loses, because I was at lunch and it was all Purdue on the TV and all these fake-ass fans there that didn't even know Purdue existed 5 years ago. So suck it. They lose. So that's good. So let's go back to that. Yeah, so Indiana misses fouls. They make 2 free throws, and we get a tip in that's waved off at the end. So now it puts Indiana 6-9 in the conference with 5 to go. It's 5 games left. We talked about this last time. No, absolutely, we would still hire Painter, chat. We would still hire Painter if he wants to come to Bloomington. Absolutely. I'm just saying today. I'm more like the fake-ass fans. The fake-ass Purdue fans, I'm sorry. I can't handle you. So whatever.
We're not hiring Painter.
I know, but that was in the chat, so I'll address it. I'll address it. I mean, Crimson Cast is talking. I'm not saying it. I'll get to my big board here in a second. So where was I going? Yes, Indiana's 6-9 in the conference. They have to win 4 of the last 5 to, I think, make a case for, if they were to win a game or two in the Big Ten tournament, to at least be in the conversation. You don't do that. You don't have at least 500 record in the Big Ten. I don't think that you should be in the conversation unless you win the Big Ten tournament, obviously, which I think at this point is, I mean, we haven't won it ever, and I don't think this is the year that we pull that off. But the way this season's gone, who the hell knows? So, Ben, as we look forward, Indiana's got 8 days until Purdue comes to town. Purdue's coming off a loss. They've got another game before they play. I think it's against Michigan State, actually. Can Indiana beat Purdue next Sunday? Coming off, licking their wounds off of this, another tough loss. Is that a game they can win?
No.
No?
The guard plays too bad. It's too bad. I don't think we can win with that.
Yeah, it's probably a fair statement. Yep. No, that's a fair statement. I think that if you're going to win that, you're going to have to get more from the guard position, which means Miles Rice has to step up and play.
Or Carlisle.
Leal's not going to do it.
Leal's doing probably the best he could do, but
no, absolutely he is. But he's not going to score 15 points. It's not going to happen.
But there's some I mean, if we played like a super defensive game that was in the 50s, yeah, we could do that. But teams don't score in the 50s anymore. So that's
look at the game against Michigan State. We slowed it down. It was a rock fight. I mean, it was 71-67, but we really had to. It was in the 60s, right in the low 60s, and the fouls extended it there. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I think Luke Goody was fabulous last night. I think that he continues to bring it. And, people talk about people you want to bring back next year, right? Because you're going to lose Galloway. You're going to lose Leal. You're going to lose Ballo for sure. Goody has an opportunity to get a waiver and get a fifth year if he wants it. I would absolutely take him on next year's roster, whatever it looks like, because he actually gives a shit. So I will absolutely take him. Mbako, renew. I'm open to listening to that, but I need to know what kind of system the next coach runs. So, those are just some things I'm thinking about. It's just, I was really hoping Indiana would pull that one off, Ben, so that we'd have a week to really kind of continue to talk about, last night's game didn't hurt Indiana's resume at all. Like UCLA is in the top 20 in the net. It's a quad one game. It doesn't actually technically hurt you outside of it's another loss on your resume. But let's say Indiana beats Purdue and they beat Penn State, right? We said on this podcast they had to win 2 of the next 3, and then they had to split, and then they had to win.
I was thinking UCLA was a win.
Okay, well now you got your biggest rival coming to town. You got to get it done. I mean, we've beaten Purdue with a worse team when Rob Finney hit the shot. In my opinion, on paper, a worse talented team. Now it had Trace on it, but
good God, in the last 10 years, we've only had one good guard, Hood Shafino. That's so sad.
Yogi. He was 10.
He was
16.
at 10 years. Yeah.
So it was 15, 16. So we're 9 years.
9 years we've had one good guard.
9 years we've had 2. Yogi and Hood Shafino.
All right, if you want to put
you can make a case for Robert Johnson. You can make a case. I'm just saying you can make a case. Decent. I mean, hey, Robert Johnson be a freaking stud for this.
Yeah.
So, be that as it may, let's shift gears and go off the court a bit. We know where Indiana stands on the court. Off the court, let's maybe start with yesterday, and then we'll come into today. And for those of you, we're going to be joining Off of Daunted's podcast next week to talk about the whole coaching search, if you will. I don't even know if it's a search yet, but Jeff Goodman from Field of 68 comes out and says Brad Stevens says he's not a candidate, says he enjoys being a Celtic. I didn't see in that quote anywhere he said he wasn't a candidate for Indiana. So then Rab Johns gets on there and says that there are people that still believe that's just Stevens pulling more of a Nick Saban, when Nick Saban was saying, I'll never be the coach at Alabama. Then he was the coach at Alabama. So there are people still holding out hope. What say you? Is Stevens is what he said enough, or is this just, hey, it's February, we're still playing the NBA season, and I'm not going to pull my cards yet. I don't need to.
Well, I mean, no offense, but I would never leave that job. He's got a great job. He's not even coaching. The team's stacked. He helped get it stacked. Like, why would you leave? I would see Billy Donovan leaving a million times before I saw Brad Stevens leaving, because Billy Donovan's aged about 30 years and he looks like he hates being on the Bulls. Let's just call it spade.
But what you said is, that's the point, is you said Stevens is not even coaching.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of people say he wants to coach again. Some will say he was forced out. Some will say he was forced out as coach in Boston and moved to the front office. I mean, that happened. Let's not forget. He couldn't get it done, and Joe Mazzulla did. So I'm just saying that. So is the Stevens thing done, or are we just taking him off the hot board? Should I cross him off as we go through? Should I cross him off the hot board, Ben?
I mean, I don't see him coming here. I mean, I would love it.
we'll draw a line through it in pencil.
All right.
Okay. It's written in ink. Draw a line through it with a pencil. We can erase it if need be.
I mean, if you got Jaylen Brown and Tatum in their prime, I'm not going anywhere.
He doesn't. He's not the coach.
Yeah. It's even better.
Is it? If you want to coach, is that better?
I mean, I don't know. You put
if you
together
could make
that
the same money, if you could make $10 million a year coaching Indiana basketball or being the president of the Celtics, what would you, if you wanted to coach? I'm just saying.
Okay. I mean,
so then today, go ahead and say what you were going to say about Stevens.
I don't see it.
I mean, hey, I don't either. And first of all, I got golf on. I got to change this. Hold on. I got golf on behind me. I can't stand it.
Hey, and last time we thought we were going to even talk to Brad Stevens, we came home with freaking Mike Woodson. So,
well, that was a mistake.
Talk about going to prom with the wrong chick.
Yeah. Well, also, shout out to Woodson, still not going to talk to Don Fisher. It's unbelievable at this point, but whatever. It's embarrassing. So, okay. Then today, Adam Zagoria, Zag's blog, he's been tied to College Hoops World forever. Pretty, decently sourced writer that's out there. And he says Mark Byington, who's the head coach at Vanderbilt, who used to be the head coach at James Madison when Curt Cignetti was there, was someone to, watch out for, that Indiana's got eyes on, and that Curt Cignetti is pushing for. And before I could even get out of the shower, Curt Cignetti replies to Adam Zagoria saying, Scott Dolson knows more about basketball. I need to focus on my team and coach my team. So shout out to Curt Cignetti for just squashing that. Now, hey, Indiana might hire Mark Byington, but it's not going to be because Curt Cignetti told him to. We're not going to pull a John Beeline, Rich Rod situation.
It's such a copycat league because once Howard became a decent coach at Michigan before they ran him out of there, everyone wanted to hire one of their players to be their coach. And ever since then, it hasn't worked. At least I can't think of one that's worked where someone that's played there is
not consistently. Penny Hardaway's having a good year this year at Memphis, but he's had some ups and downs. We saw what happened to Juwan Howard, Chris Mullin, Mike Woodson, you name it, right? It's just so in the chat here, and I don't know that this is apples to apples. Nobody knew who Sig was before Dolson hired him. That's true. Not many did. Banking on it being a candidate that we don't see or know about because this first time he gets to make the hire. Now, if Indiana basketball was Indiana football, I would agree. But this is, as an AD, in my opinion, this is Indiana basketball's last chance.
I mean,
we've
said that a few times, but
no, I'm saying this is the last chance to act because this is.
That's why
Dolson,
I think
if he doesn't make the right hire, he's done.
That's why I think we should just go with Beard. We know he's going to win. Yeah, he's got a lot of problems, but we know he's going to win. But guess who your boy Doyle says we're going to get? One of your favorite guys.
Well, but he's said three different people. So far,
yeah, but one of your favorite guys? Old Buzz. Buzz.
So let me ask you this though: if I was a college coach, having a good season, established, let's say a Buzz Williams, would I not say, hey, if Ben's my agent, you're a wheeler dealer down there in the ATL, you'll DM, you'll call anybody, anytime, anywhere. I'll say, hey, Ben, if you're my agent, float out that I'm interested in Indiana, so Texas A&M will maybe give me a raise, or Michigan will give me a raise, or UCLA will give me a raise. Like all these coaches are floating it out. And so you may have to go with a coach that's less known, right? And I think there's going to be some coaches that what I do not want is when Archie Miller made the run and then he lost in the first round and then we hired him. Do not get dreamy-eyed about a guy making a run one time.
And Don't get
I'd
him.
rather just go with somebody like a Byington that hasn't really done it.
Hey, and don't.
I would somebody that made one run and then they're done.
And don't get what some people say. Now, who knows? Archie's kind of a fiery, small guy. He's got small man complex. Let's just call a spade a spade. So no one seemed to like him, which was another problem why he was good. So if we could stay away from a guy like that, that might be.
So you're saying people need to like you? Is that?
Yeah, you got to be a little likable.
So I'm going to need to. So you had floated Greg Marshall a couple weeks ago. You might have been drunk when you said that. I think we can cross him off your list.
Hey, I'd rather have Greg Marshall than Mike Woodson any day of the week.
Well, I mean, again, no one's looking at Greg Marshall. So that's enough.
Hey,
Dusty May.
Hold on. No one was looking at Mike Woodson. Let's just call it spade a spade.
Well, apparently we were locked in. Well, I knew when Mike Woodson said, well, they need to come and talk to me. I was like, oh, shit. I knew we were screwed then because I'm like, not going to be good. So now we're back to Mick Cronin last night. They asked him about the job. He said, I think it'd be I think he answered it really well. I think it'd be wildly inappropriate to even talk about that. That's Mike's team, all this, that, the other. He just won. He didn't say no. Does Mick Cronin do anything for you?
Not really.
Yeah. Like the chat says, if they want Mike Woodson, they need to come talk to Mike Woodson. How the hell did that work out?
Hey, was that Darren Breeze?
It is. It actually is Breeze. So, Steve Alford, why is he not getting a look, Ben?
Probably because we just went with an IU guy and that didn't work out. So why would we do that again?
I mean, Steve Alford's been mentioned as the next head coach since I was at IU.
Yeah.
And
where's he coaching?
He hasn't even gotten an interview, to my knowledge.
Where's he coaching at? Grand Valley State or something?
Nevada.
Oh.
He's in a tournament last year. Not having a good year this year. But Scott Drew, I think this whole Stevens thing where he's out, like this is kind of like reset people. But I still say it comes down to like a Dusty May, Scott Drew, Mick Cronin. Chris Beard might be. He might be. I do think that if I've got a Dusty May or a Scott Drew or a Mick Cronin that are saying that they would come to Indiana and be the coach, Indiana's probably going to take one of those three over Beard because there's not the off the court stuff. There's just not.
Hey, Beard will have a championship in the next 5 years. It just might not be with us. That's what I'm saying.
So Ham says in the chat, Cronin's got little man syndrome too.
Yeah,
he ain't gonna have to complain about those road trips if he's the coach at Indiana. Hey, he's from Cincinnati or Louisville, one of the two. I can't remember. So he's from nearby. He's got family. I mean, like that could mean something to him. He's in his mid-50s now, so that could be a name that we haven't really talked much about.
Pitino?
Greg McDermott at Creighton. That do anything for you? You start talking about that. I'm gonna grab me another beer here real quick.
I think he's a good coach. I don't know if that's the route I want. I think we have to go with a home run. We have to open up our piggy bank and go for someone that we know is going to be good. A Bruce Pearl, a Chris Beard, Nate Oates, the guy from Florida is a killer coach. I loved watching that team play. He had problems. He had some stalking case. There's a lot of coaches. There's a lot of coaches that have some issues. It's not just Chris Beard.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, again, if I've got coaches that don't have that and they're all fairly the same in terms of established winning, I mean, Mick Cronin's gone to as many Final Fours as Chris Beard has.
Well, Chris Beard also, but do you know how hard it is to reinvent yourself again at Ole Miss? Ole Miss has never given two shits about that.
What if he loses in the first round of the tournament this year?
He got to the tournament. How many times has Ole Miss gotten to the tournament?
So is that where we're going to go? I love it. The chat's rocking now. We got people in here. The chat is rocking. Well, I'm just saying, Cronin's from Cincinnati, right? Alford's been at Southwest Missouri State, New Mexico, UCLA, Nevada, Iowa. He's not coming to Indiana. Like I could see Cronin. I was getting ready to say Greg McDermott is that we haven't heard a lot about. Greg McDermott from Creighton. What's that do for you?
I think it's a B hire.
It'd be a safe hire, probably, right?
We're not winning a ship with him. I mean, but he'd get us to the tournament. So I mean,
the chat says you're guilty until proven innocent. I mean, go read the police report. Like, there's a lot of fucking scumbags out there that pay their way out of jail. Let's just call it what it is. If I've got literal pictures of her neck and the police report that say that, and I've got a coach over here that's done the same thing, I'm going to hire the coach over here that's done the same thing. I don't need to hire Chris Beard when he's Mick Cronin. It's the same thing.
Well, let me see what Chris Beard's winning percentage is. This man.
We're gonna go winning percentage. The guy coached at Arkansas Little Rock. Like I'm saying, Mick Cronin's been the same number of Final Fours as Chris Beard. Guarantee it. You can fact check me on it. I'm not looking at that. I'm telling you right now. Breeze, tell us: is Beard and Cronin been the same number of Final Fours as a coach? He took Texas Tech to the title game, and he would have won you know what? I'm not even going to say it. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. You didn't. If you could have, kept your lips off the bottle and not beat the crap out of your girlfriend, maybe you would have won a championship at Texas. Maybe you'd be the number one team in country facing Kentucky tonight, but you're not. Just don't do it. Like I'm saying, if I've got Greg McDermott or Mick Cronin or, let's just Buzz Williams. No, none of those guys have any type of arrest record that I'm aware of.
He has a 70% win record. That's pretty good.
Okay. How much of that was at Arkansas Little Rock?
He was only at Arkansas Little Rock for 1 year.
Okay. What'd he go? Like 30-4?
30-5. He was 112.
God, I know that. God, I know college bad. I'm just telling you. Like if I'm hiring two people and one of them is got a mugshot and one doesn't, and they have the same qualifications, and like, what am I doing?
Well, we got Susie Homemaker, Mike Woodson, and how's that going?
They're saying TJ. We've got Muskie Madness in here now. They say TJ Otzelberger. We haven't talked about him. He's getting ready to blow Wes Miller's doors off at Cincinnati. There's a lot of names out there, but I think confidently we can say Brad Stevens is probably out. Article you sent me that Dusty May wasn't the answer. I don't have time to read that, but what was the theme of that? Why is Dusty not the answer?
Just he hasn't been doing it long enough.
He hasn't been doing what long enough? He took Florida Atlantic, a team with literally no resources, to the Final Four.
I don't know.
He's going to win the Big Ten. He's going to win the Big Ten this year. Dusty May. He's going to be a protected seed.
Hey,
let me ask you, would you like to be in that spot right now? Would you like to be Michigan right now? Because I would.
I would like to be about 25 teams rather than the team I have to watch every night.
Somebody's asking about Mike Lewis. Mike Lewis, my ass. He can't even win at Ball State. I don't need
Lewis.
If he wants to come be an assistant. I don't want Porter Moser. He was supposedly number 2 last time. I don't know. What about Jeff Sherman? Can we get him on the sidelines? You might as well hire me.
What about our boy AJ? We'll give him a shot.
Hey, AJ Moye wants to be on staff. You heard it when he was on the pod 3 months ago. He's got an opportunity. But, I don't know where Dolson goes at this point.
And do people want the job? You got to ask that.
I mean, of course they want the job.
I don't think they want
Some of these guys do. It might not be Brad Stevens. It might not be Scott Drew. It might not be, guys coaching at Duke and Kansas and those types of jobs. But obviously, Chris Beard wants the job. Ben McCollum, Mark Byington. I mean, you might hire, Mark Byington. He's the best freaking coach we ever had outside of Bob Knight. Could be. We don't know. They're beating the shit out of Tennessee today at Tennessee. So the guy can obviously do something.
We beat Tennessee at Tennessee in the preseason.
Yeah, I mean, 3 times. Yeah, a secret scrimmage. I'm saying he's walking into Tennessee with his tournament resume on the line, and I believe, fact check that, Breeze. Did they beat the brakes off of Tennessee? I love this. We could go live. I mean, where's this going? Let's check some scores here. Well, this is why you do this on a Saturday afternoon while you're drinking a Modelo and see what's going on. But I mean, Tennessee came back and won. Oh my God. Mark Byington, you're out. You're out. You're out.
Well, that's not a tournament builder.
Well, losing at Tennessee's now. I mean, they're 17-8.
Damn, they got outscored 50-32 in the second half.
I mean, I do know one thing. Mark Byington did beat Kentucky. I always like to see that. I don't think Mark Byington's a viable candidate for the job, to be completely honest with you. Tennessee must have. I mean, they were up 20 last I saw, but yeah. All right, so we're just rambling here. I mean,
what about
Arizona right now? Go ahead.
What about Arizona's head coach?
Tommy Lloyd? I mean, yeah, sure.
I like Tommy Lloyd. I mean, I don't know if he'd leave Arizona to come to Indiana, but
like that. Here's the thing: we got to stop thinking. I don't know if we have one of the biggest NIL coffers in the country. Like UCLA wasn't any good last year. You know why? They didn't have NIL money. Now they do. All of a sudden, they're a tournament team. Good. Like, you imagine if you're a guard, and like, I will say this to the guards of America right now. We have a spot for you on the 25-26 roster, and we'll pay you $1 million to come and do it. How's that sound to you? Paul Schwartz here in the chat. Can you play? You worth a shit? Can you dribble the ball? Can you make a 3-point shot? Will Wade. Name guaranteed to win. No criminal record. Was in trouble. What? I mean, he's at McNeese State. Has it rolling, I'm sure. I haven't thought about Will Wade in 5 years. But I'm going to go out on a limb, Paul, and say that he's got it rolling at McNeese. That would be my guess. So, Indiana doesn't play until Sunday. So, we're going to take some time off unless something breaks, obviously, with the coaching search. But we will be joining Off and Dawned.
What about Richard? What about Richard Pitino?
Richard or Rick?
No, I want the dad, not the son.
Yeah, well, then say Rick Pitino.
But Richard sounds so much better.
Well, Rick Pitino, I mean, hey, you got to have a long-term plan if you're going to do that. So, Indiana plays Purdue next Sunday. They've got to win before they go out west. They really need to win out. It's doable. It honestly is, but it's also possible they could lose 4 or 5. You really just don't know with this team. So we're going to join Off and Donna to talk some of the things we talked about, but he's obviously going to have us way more prepared for that this week. So look for that on Off and Donna. We'll probably push it out here too. So everybody have a great weekend. Hope those of you who participate in Valentine's Day or have a significant other had some good luck. If you didn't, sorry. So try again next year. So with that, everybody take care. Have a great long weekend. We'll see you next week.